Welcome. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Amy, would you take roll call, please?
Ms. Stauby?
Here.
Mr. Gilbert?
Here.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Mr. Heather?
Here.
Ms. Slattery?
Here. Our mission statement is the Northwest Local School District will create a responsive learning community where all students are valued, challenged, and guided along a pathway to success. And I need a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Passes 5-0.
Right, so tonight we'll start with a follow-up presentation from our last board meeting. We have Jake Kuhnlein and Aaron Davis and Alex Shrewsbury, who are our high school principals, who are here with a follow-up presentation about our cell phones at the high schools.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for your time tonight. I got some feedback that I was bending over too much last week, so I'm trying to get this right. Thank you for your time tonight, board, administration, Aaron, Alex particularly. Just want to give them gratitude after a really successful first day of school to be here tonight to continue to follow up and engage our community in the Yonder program. We are here and we asked to be here to follow up and present tonight because we're committed to our students, but we're also committed to safety, and it's our top priority, and we're also committed to continuing to engage our community, be transparent with our community, and engage with them and answer their questions and address questions as well. So tonight we'll go pretty quickly, but wanted to remind why we're here, give you an update on what we've been doing since our last board meeting on July 29th, and then address some of the most common questions and feedback and concerns we've had. We will go Shark Tank style for everyone tonight too, and give a demonstration of the Yonder bag in case anyone has been unable to participate in an open house and hasn't been able to see it themselves. That way anyone watching can see how the bag works. So why are we here? Policy changed, but that's not the real reason why we're here. We're here because our teachers and our kids deserve a safe, stable environment inside of our schools, and we know this is just one way that we can continue to move forward in that direction. So this is for our kids, this is for our teachers, and why are we here tonight on August 19th is because we care deeply about engaging with the community and communicating transparently with them about things that affect their kids. So what have we been doing since our board meeting? We had great questions from you, and we also have had great questions and conversations with the community. We sent letters to families on July 30th. The day after our board meeting, we sent a second letter addressing frequently asked questions on August 9th to staff and to families. In both of those letters, we've had a Google Form QR code, and we received over 100 submissions, which is questions, concerns, and we have answered and returned to the calls of every single one that was sent in from last week and before that left their name and their phone number. And then there are some new ones that came in just this week that we'll be following up with as well. So we continue to receive questions, and we continue to work together to respond to those. Lindsay Creasy and all of us have been monitoring social media just to try to see what questions are coming up, what misconceptions are coming up, and just trying to be both proactive and reactive in answering those questions. We also revisited every question asked from you. We played back the tape and wrote down and typed up every single question and used that as feedback to improve our processes. We had back to school events, open houses at both schools. There's another event at Northwest High School this Wednesday, and we continue to create dialogue and spaces for families now that we have a sample as well to come in, students to come in, see the bag, see how it works, and get their questions and concerns answered as well. And then finally, I just wanted to note that I've also been meeting with law enforcement and other safety professionals to ask questions. So I had a meeting with Justin Hustle and all of our SROs. We had a meeting with the Hamilton County Educational Service Center safety administrator, he was formerly worked for Homeland Security, sorry. Thank you. And then also met with our director of training for ALICE Certified. For the public that's not sure what ALICE is, it's a framework for how we keep schools safe in the midst of critical incidents. So we met with professionals as well to continue to get feedback and guidance on how to ensure that this increased engagement and not only just kept safety as a top priority, but actually improved safety. And then finally, we also continue to learn from other schools that have implemented Yonder across the state and across the country. So I'm going to pass it to Aaron here briefly to just show you how the Yonder bag works, and then we'll get into safety and implementation questions that we've heard you and others ask. So Aaron, I'll pass it to you.
Good evening. It's not afternoon anymore. Sorry about that. Well, I should have brought my phone up, but I think you'll be able to figure this out. You want to be the demo? Okay. So when students come in, they will bring their Yonder bag with them. Thank you. And then during first bell, and as we did this morning, we will ask students to put their Yonder pouch and their phone on the desk. We'll have them put it in the bag and then lock it. Have staff come around and do a quick check to make sure it's locked, and then it goes out of sight. The student keeps the pouch with them throughout the entire day, unless there should be an issue, but it is not a time that we plan to ever confiscate phones so long as it's secured in the Yonder pouch. When it's time to leave in the afternoon, or for any time that there's a parent phone call or an emergency, we would take the unlocking, you want to be the wall? Thanks. The unlocking device. We do have some that will be on walls, and we also have handheld ones that we can use and carry around on our person as well. Then students can just simply go up, put this to it, push the button, and it pops right back open. So I have even sat with a few students and allowed them to do this, who expressed some anxiety in the process and just what does this look like? What does it feel like? How am I taking it with me? Things like that. So I just sat with a student the other night. We allowed multiple families to use these and check it out at our open house. Right when you walked in the front door, you couldn't miss it. It was right there. We had admin, Mr. Yater and Mr. Kuhnlein there available to answer questions and support families if they wanted to give it a try. So again, it's big enough. If students do choose, they can put their watch inside or anything else, AirPods that they'd like to keep safe. But like I said, it's pretty easy. And it works the same whether it's this device or the handheld device when they go to unlock. And it just does that very simply. You have any questions?
What are you gonna do when there's 100 kids in line to get their phone unlocked?
So the company suggests 6 per exit. So we have one coming per 60 pouches. So I think, like I had said last time, that we plan to use a map to disperse these appropriately out of all of our exits so that it does help expedite the process. So we're definitely working on the best solution. What I also like, we can change it, right? You can put this on a wall, or you can put it on a cart that you just wheel out at the time of dismissal. So it doesn't have to be something that, oh, we put 4 there at the beginning of the year and we're stuck with 4. We can add, we can subtract, we can move. We've also considered what does this look like for an emergency dismissal. Sometimes we do rapid release fire drills, and we have students exit from 7th bell. What does that look like if the bell rings and it's 2:30 and you leave? So that would look different, right? We don't want kids lining up at the door stopping at the unlocking device.
Right.
That's going to be more of staff coming out, excuse me, with our handheld device that we can support students out at either the tennis courts. That was a question asked by one of our staff members, at the tennis courts in the back for Colerain High School, or at the flagpole, things like that.
So is their student ID or name or anything anywhere on the outside of the
So
pouch?
the plan is, once they arrive, we are going to, and the company suggests us, to just take a Sharpie and write the student ID right on that. This is worth money, so I don't want these to go missing in a way to get them back. So the plan is to put a student ID written on every single one so that we can return it if lost.
Okay, and then how do you keep kids from in between bells or lunch
Yes.
going up to
So
the-
this piece just screws off.
Okay.
So if we don't use something that is mobile at the end of the day, that's something that we're still working through, what works best at each school and each exit. And if we do choose to put these on the wall, that part does screw off.
And they said that there was a delay in getting the supply. When are they doing them?
I don't,
I can answer that
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
And also start to address some of the questions about safety. So the Yonder bags will ship on August 26th. I got off the phone with them an hour ago. We were getting, at the same time that we were learning that the bags were delayed, we were also learning from schools that we've been learning from and the company that it's actually recommended to delay the start because we can continue to address questions, concerns, reduce student anxiety, test out our location of our magnets. And you'll see in the future slides, we're actually going to run some drills before we implement this to ensure that our timing is really, really strong and fast in a lot of different given scenarios.
What happens if a student has their phone locked up and it starts ringing in the middle of class?
That's a great question. I think we would treat that just like if someone had a device that wasn't in their pouch, and what the plan we put in place is to call for an administrator or dean, then we would go up and then we could unlock the device at that point.
Is there any reason why you couldn't just say, turn the phone off, then put it in the pouch?
So, sorry, I should have been more clear. That's exactly what I did this morning when I got on the announcements, because we didn't have the pouches. We still followed the same procedure. So at 7:45 this morning, I said, good morning, everyone. Just as a reminder, we're a school-free zone from 7:45 to 2:30. Please put your phones in pouch on your desk. Well, I said pouch, but once we get them, your phone's on the desk at this time, and make sure that you power those down and then put them out of sight. I did instruct them, sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Yep.
And how are the teachers buying into this, your staff?
Great question. I was going to pass that to them to talk about that because they are the ones talking to the teachers more directly. If Alex and Aaron, you want to chime in, and then we can talk a little bit more about safety as well.
We've had a lot of positive feedback so far. I definitely think there are still some questions, and like I said last time, once we get these, there might be more questions that come up, but we have had a lot of positive feedback from our staff just in the process and the idea of being able to provide a resource to students to make it a cell phone free zone. So.
Yeah, same for at Northwest. It was a piece that a lot of teachers gave feedback on regarding in-service week. Of one of the things they were most excited for this year was the Yonder Bags and us doing something. And I think those that are a little hesitant will be bought in as they see us follow up with students that aren't using the bags appropriately. So overall, it is really positive.
And so a lot of your questions actually may address some of the slides, so I'll try to move faster on the ones that you've already addressed through your questions. But we just want to name for the public too that in the event of an emergency, the first thing we need is for everyone to follow the directions of the adult to establish safety in the building. We will ensure, as our policy and practice is, that we are communicating with families as soon as possible, and we will continue to live up to the expectation and improve upon our communication to ensure that every single family gets an update if there is a safety incident inside of a school within the first 10 to 15 minutes, at most, in the event of an actual safety issue. Once safety is established, there's really two different types of safety issues that we've been getting asked a lot about, and you've already asked about them, right? What are we doing when we are evacuating students and they're leaving the building versus what are we doing to get the phones open when a student is in the classroom locked down for a period of time? And so that was one of the reasons why, per the advice of the schools that we've been talking to, that delaying the implementation for the first 2 weeks is really critical, because now that students are in the building, we can practice these drills and get timing down to a place where we feel really confident that safety is continuing to be our first priority. So you already asked the question, but we will not launch it immediately. At the open houses, we've been sharing that with families too. We don't want the kid coming home and saying like, Mom, I swear I didn't get my Yonder bag today. And they're like, where's that bag? During that time, we're gonna be working with our students, practicing at schools, reporting out times it takes to unlock every bag in the school, so running simulations to find out how much time it really takes to go through some of these processes, and getting the unlocking device locations ironed out so that we can be really streamlined once we do launch. If needed, we will continue to buy additional unlocking devices if safety is in question and if we feel we are unable to establish processes that get the bags unlocked in a reasonable amount of time. But just to recap, in the event of any safety situation, the most important thing is that students are following the directions of our adults, we're getting safety established, we're communicating with families from the school, so they're hearing accurate information, and then we have clear, efficient processes to get students access to their phones. Because we know, I have children, that sometimes there is reassurance in being able to communicate directly with your kid. So we wanna make sure that feedback and concern is not ignored throughout this. Just want to honor and name that communication across our district is a priority, that we are continuing to work with that even without the Yonder bags. And so we wanted his name for everyone, including the public, that if a family still needs to call the school to get in touch with their child, we are working on more than ever ensuring that the answer is yes, and that they're able to communicate with their child quickly. And the inverse of that, if a student needs to talk to their family, that we are working on more than ever streamlining that so that students can get into a counselor's office, an administrator's office, or somewhere safe to call their family and talk privately and get whatever concern addressed that they're having throughout the day. So I mentioned this as well. We'll continue to practice drills. We'll be educating our kids and helping them prepare for the change. We know this is hard. I think in the last board meeting it was described as a potential rodeo in the beginning. So we know that this will be hard to get our students to be go from summer, where they've been on their phones a lot, to go to school, where we're expecting them to be in class, engaged in learning. We're going to continue to answer parent questions. We want to continue to ask our families to reach out to us so that we can get their questions answered, hear feedback, to continue to improve our processes and make this something that everyone feels really, really, really bought into. I mentioned that we talked to several safety professionals throughout the last few weeks. I just wanted to name that while I know it won't address everyone's concerns, that, you know, resoundingly from Colerain PD to the Hamilton County Safety Administrators to the Director of Alice Safety Trainer, that having students focus on the direction of adults in the midst of a safety incident is the most important thing that we can have our kids doing in those moments. And specifically focusing on this key piece first in the midst of a critical incident, whether that's a threat, a swatting incident, actually makes the school safer because we can move through our safety processes efficiently and effectively. It was pointed out to us by safety professionals that some of the during the day, day-to-day incidents that also make schools feel unsafe may also improve because there will be a lack of ability to communicate back and forth during the day. So we want every kid to be able to go home every day and not feel bullied, harassed, picked on, and knowing that students are engaged, that they're not texting, that they're not communicating by phone during the day. We expect to improve safety on a day-to-day basis as well. Aaron and Alex talked a little bit about the family feedback. If there's anything else they want to add to that, I will say that when I was at the Colerain open house, families seemed very intrigued by learning that those bags go home with them, and that if they needed to utilize the bag to help their student get their homework done or get to sleep at night, that is at their disposal because their student will be taking it to and from work. I don't think I'm getting any increase in approval ratings from students by saying this on the mic tonight, but maybe we'll get a few more parents to realize that we're their partners and that we're giving them a tool that they can use at home as well. We're going to shift from safety to other implementation questions we've got and received, but if there are any other safety-related questions, this would be a great time to field them as well. All right, I'm going to pass it to Alex then, who's been taking the lead on shaping our medical needs practice as well.
Awesome. So one of the questions that has come up a lot is what about students who may have medical needs that are attached to services that can be provided through their cell phones? So one option that we have is Yonder provides Velcro pouches. So the pouch looks exactly the same. However, the mechanism is just Velcro. There's not a magnet or anything like that. So it does allow the phone to still be accessible while still maintaining consistency of the program and everything else. So some students may have conditions such as diabetes that may require them to be able to access their phone on a regular basis. And so those are pieces that, whether it's that or another medical need, we will review it on a case-by-case basis with the counselor, the nurse, intervention specialist, depending on the situation, to provide that for students as well. So again, as we talked about earlier, teacher support, it's been great. A lot of it, like I said, is going to come down to the consistency of it, and so that will buy in the extra percent that may not be there right now, and really working on making sure that this is a support that doesn't create an extra burden on administrators or teachers, but is helpful for us in the long run. And then additionally, middle school staff have expressed a desire to look at this in the future as well. So expectations for teachers, we will not be required to use Yonder bags. I don't know if you shared it, but we talked about the possibility of trying a in-service day with Yonder bags just to see how that goes. We may get some volunteers. But part of that also for us as adults is being able to access our emergency management system that allows us to maintain safety for our students, but also at the same time ensuring that we're holding those expectations and accountability for staff of appropriate times to be using phones, such as not during instruction and supervision, pieces like that. Erin will share a little bit about student expectations.
All right, like Jake and Alex have both said, there's been different types of student feedback. But as far as expectations for students, we have been able, even today with the freshman practice, what this looks like. There's definitely a learning curve to this, but for us administrators, having just our freshmen in the building today, we said it went fabulous. I think I truly saw 2 phones all day long. I don't know how it went at Northwest, but I was shocked and very, very impressed. And it gave me some confidence and felt really good about our students who were able to follow the expectations. Because at this point, we've just shared it through email and open house. I did make an announcement this morning from the very start, but then we did our class meetings like we had discussed during our last presentation. And students were fully engaged in those. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're not sitting scrolling on their phone, but they were engaged in those through the whole time, as well as listening to the specific expectations that come along with Yonder pouches. Kind of like we've shared, they're expected to put their phone in the Yonder bag on the way by first bell. We have made that an option at Colerain High School. If you come in at 7:05 and you get breakfast and you're in the cafeteria, we are not monitoring it at that point. The expectation by 7:45 when that announcement is made, that is when we are starting our day with this. And then finally, the code of conduct has not changed. This is the same expectation that we had last year. Our belief every year has been the best learning takes place when there's no distractions and we can truly focus on what that instruction looks like. So this is the same expectation and the same code of conduct procedures that we've used last year. Like I said before, now we're just giving them a tool that they're able to use.
Can I ask a quick
Yeah.
question? When a student comes in late, would it be the office's responsibility at that
Yes.
point then?
So we both have Raptor systems where the students check in. So upon getting a Raptor pass to get to class, then they will show the person at the front desk right there that their Yonder pouch is their phone and put their Yonder pouch in there and then put it away securely before exiting the office.
Okay.
Monitoring success. What does this look like? I think that we are on a great way to be able to, last year we did a lot of things called rigor walks, and it provided us more opportunities to be in classrooms. So observations just throughout classroom walkthroughs as we get in each of our classrooms, not only for teacher evaluation pieces, but to get through just to observe what's going on. Just walking through the hallways, again, there was 0 cell phone usage that I saw, minus the two times that it was both during lunch. And I think we recognized last time that that would be one of the harder places. I had a student say to me, well, what am I going to do? And I said, well, you're going to look at your friend in the eyes and you're going to say, hey, what'd you do this summer? So it definitely was different, but I think the kids did great, to be honest with you. So just making sure we're visible in the hallways and in classrooms to show the students that we are observing this, but also to support our staff because as Alex had mentioned, we want to make sure that we're providing consistent support and our teachers are being consistent with the policy as well. And then obviously discipline referrals over time and academic indicators such as failure rate and credit attainment. The goal is for all of that to improve in a more successful learning environment. Next steps. So rolling out with students. So once we do get these, we do have some plans in place. They might look a little different at each school. I can speak for Colerain High School that we will do rotations through advisory and we will hand out our Yonder pouches. And then that is when we are going to have students write their name, make sure it's legible, write their, their student ID on their pouch. We'll also be practicing drills and refining the process. What does that look like Jake said, in getting through each of the floors and classrooms to make sure we can open bags in an appropriate amount of time. notify families of the launch date, knowing that this is a process we want to continue to partner in. As much information as we get when this will be started, we will be sharing as early as possible with families in the community so they can start having those conversations at home. And students aren't just surprised when we walk in one day and, oh, you're getting your pouch today. And then continued engagement with families. Like we've said, just to make sure that this is an open process. This is something we're all learning, but every conversation through those phone calls that I had or sitting with students, I have learned stuff myself. And I think that it just provides us opportunities to really reflect on this process. I truly think is going to be successful in helping us get a better, a more engaging learning environment. I think that's it. Questions, feedback? Yes, Mr. Gilbert.
What happens if they leave school when the bag is locked and they get home and it's locked? Did you say anything about that?
We did not. So the same kind of like if they come tardy, and we put this in one of our documents that if anyone leaves early, so if you have a dentist appointment at 2 p.m., you can bring a note in, you can get an early release slip. You still will have to go out through that main exit of either the front door of the main building for us or the Career Center, wherever your 7th bell is, to get that unlocked before leaving. Should you forget, and students, I'm not sure it'll happen a lot, but it could. Students are busy sometimes getting to practice or games or things like that. There is someone there 24/7 at Colerain, so we can definitely make arrangements to support students so that they're not, their phone's not held captive for 24 hours or something like that.
So it would be their responsibility to pay for it if they got home and later that night they really needed it to make a call and they can't get a hold of, like they go to the front door, they can't get someone to answer, but they need the phone and then they have to break into it. That's their
I think we'll
financial
have to talk about that
responsibility.
case by case. And just, safety is our number one priority. So if you're in a situation where you get home and you're locked out of your home and you have no other option, we'll work through that.
Yeah.
One other thing I will mention, we do have some students who drive back and forth from the high schools, and they elect to drive themselves versus taking the bus. We will be making arrangements to allow them to get their bags unlocked before leaving, because we do not feel it's best to put them in a car with a locked pouch.
And then, I know this first round has been grant money and a little bit of general fund money. Has there been any conversation about building this into their student fee, and every year they'll have to buy one, and if they keep it, they wouldn't have to pay it, or?
Great question. So we've definitely had preliminary conversations about it. No decision has been made for next school year. We just knew that with this first change, that having federal grant money to allow for this program to begin was important. But I think it's something that we would all be really interested in having that conversation. And then just the federal grant money that we're using is on a yearly. It's not the one that goes away over time. So we do have that as an option.
I just want to thank you guys. I feel like you've gone through so many questions and spent a lot of time talking to the police and everything else. It seems like you're as prepared as you can be, and appreciate all the effort that's gone into this. So thank you. Can you talk a little bit about the Raptor passes, you two, because I don't think anyone else probably knows what that is.
Sorry, I guess I'm the veteran Raptor user. So yeah, we have 3 Raptor systems in our building, one in the front of the building, of the main building, the back of the main building, and our Career Center. So for any student that gets there after 7:45, the expectation is that you sign in at the Raptor. You put in your ID. If you have your ID, it does scan, so that helps move it a little quicker. And then you select your reason as to why you're late. It could be tardy, overslept, dentist, things like that. So they select their reason, and then it automatically will print out a pass, and then you can take that and go to first bell. That helps document any of the tardies that come through each day. We do have a visitor system that goes with it, which is very nice. We have one in the front of our main building and Career Center. I'm not sure if you have the same, I'm guessing so. That if I am a visitor and I want to come in, I can give them my ID, and then they can scan it right away before they allow me to proceed throughout the building.
And then just one more thing.
Yeah.
The new bathroom hall pass system, could you
Smart
guys
Pass.
talk Would you
Yeah,
mind
I
just
might-
sharing
yeah.
a little bit about that
Do you
for
want to
people
start?
too? Okay.
I'm more familiar with Hall Pass as I used it in my previous school as well. So it's a digital pass system in which students are able to, through a Chromebook that's in the classroom, through whether it's theirs individually or just a kiosk set up, or even the teachers can create a digital pass for them, indicating to whichever room they're going to. Some of the nice pieces that work well for us in maintaining safety throughout the building is at any time you can go into hall monitor mode and we can see everyone in the hallway that has a pass. We can see where they're going, where they're coming from, and how much time they have left. It also allows us to create interventions in which certain students only have certain amount of passes throughout the week, only certain times, or in which certain students aren't in the hallway with other students at the same time. So ultimately, it's something that has, I think, allowed the system of passes to go to a new level. Of course, there are pieces in which we need to ensure students are actually using it and going where they're supposed to, but it allows that extra step for us to put some interventions in place to keep kids in class more often.
Thank you.
I'll just add, because this is our first experience with this, having 1,700 kids in the hallway throughout the time, as much as I would love to know every student by face and name, sometimes it's just hard. So especially in the beginning of the year, so to be able to look and see, I can see your face with your name, and I don't see your face and your name on my hall monitor screen, it helps me very clearly, and I feel that there's definitely a safety feature to that, right? To be able to know who's in our hallways and who has permission, where they should be. It suggests the nearest time or locations if I have to go to the bathroom, where I should be going. Like Alex said, it's at specific times. It also will notify staff when students have gone over that time. So if I'm abusing that privilege to go out into the hallway, or if this is my fourth pass of the day, and now I've missed 40 minutes of instructional time throughout the day, that is definitely data that we can definitely use on our end to make sure that we're not neglecting that need that students have, but also helping them maybe monitor that a bit more and use that wisely.
Thank you. Thanks.
And I just want to thank Erin and her team and Alex and his team, because all of those questions that have come in, if there was a phone number, they have personally called every single person to make sure that it wasn't an email response, there was an actual conversation. And I just want to credit you and your teams for taking the time to do that and support the families in that extra mile.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your support. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Nancy, student achievement?
Yeah, we have some student, it's not exactly achievements, but what's been going on leading up to the start of the school year. All right, so it's been a very busy month for students and families across the district, and the Northwest Local School District staff began the process of welcoming students and families back onto campus well before the first day of school. We started on August 7th with the district's annual back-to-school health and safety fair at Northwest High School. The weather was beautiful, and over 700 students and family members attended the event. 512 backpacks stuffed with school supply essentials were distributed to our students. Our community healthcare partner, the Healthcare Connection, was able to provide medical and dental screenings to 107 students at no cost. Colerain Township police officers and firefighters engaged with our students at the event. Side by Side distributed a significant number of books to our students and families. The generosity of our 45 community partners made this amazing event possible. The event was 100% funded through donations and partnerships with our local community. Next up, we have Northwest High School had their back-to-school bash on Monday, August 12th. The event was run in conjunction with their parent meeting for fall sports teams. Over 150 students and families attended the event, and parents were given multiple opportunities to ask questions about topics including Yonder pouches. Food trucks, games, and activities helped to make the event fun for everyone. Next up, we've had open houses at our schools. 9 of our schools had open houses last week for our students and families. Northwest High School will hold its open house on Wednesday, August 21st. School open houses provide a great opportunity for students and families to visit the schools and interact with teachers and staff. Our August open houses have been well attended, and we are looking forward to partnering with our families to ensure a terrific school year for our students. And first day of school. Today was the first day of school for students in grades 1, 3, 5, 6, and 9. Tomorrow is the first day of school for kindergarten students and for students in grades 2, 4, 7, and 8, as well as all high school students. Phase-in days allow more opportunity for staff to support students in learning or relearning building procedures and focusing on developing strong relationships. All students in grades K through 12 will be back in school on Wednesday, August 21st. Preschool students will also be welcomed back in 2 phases based on their last name, with all preschool students in attendance on Friday. We would like to thank the Colerain Township Police Department for assisting us with welcoming our students at all grade levels, including preschool, back into the building this week. So we're off to the start of a great school year.
Thank you. Butler Tech, Jim?
Just that the start of the school year went great and everybody's moving forward. Then I'll have, I know, I talked to John Graff today, the superintendent, and he's gonna come to one of our board meetings next month. I just gotta get back to him and see what date's good, and then we can go over everything that's going on throughout the whole district and updates on our 3 building phases that we're going through. So, yeah, other than that, that's it.
Chris, legislative update?
Nicole, the legislature is on recess through the election. If you can believe that, that's nice to be able to set your own vacation schedule. That's a pretty generous one. So unless there's something from the governor or some emergency session, there's probably not going to be a whole lot, but they do that every 2 years where they take this long break. So there's nothing to report.
It's a great vacation.
Yeah. Campaign.
Right, any reports from employees?
None tonight.
Okay, I don't have any community cards.
So we'll move into the consent items, and we will start with Human Resources.
Good evening. We seek your approval for the following: 14 resignations, 1 retirement, 8 revised dates, 7 change in status, 31 initial appointments, various supplemental items, the 24-25 subrates, and the approval of the transportation handbook.
Tonight for vendor contracts, we have contracts for non-public schools, special education, Title I services, homecoming vendors, graduation venue, and for a student information system. We also have donations. Debbie Miller donated school supplies to Montford Heights Elementary. Mount Healthy Eagles donated funds to Colerain High School. Greater Cincinnati Foundation donated money to Colerain High School for PBIS. Peerless Printing donated discounted services to Montford Heights Elementary. And Ohio State Eagles donated money to Colerain High School.
With that, the superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the adoption of the consent items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions? I have a couple just from all the transportation stuff that I've been seeing. Do we have an SLA for parents to get a call or an email back? 48 hours, 24 hours when they call transportation?
It should be same day, if not the next day, but I
Okay.
know that's not happening with the volume that's coming through
Sure,
right now.
yeah, so expect a little longer. I mean, some people have said they called last week and still haven't gotten a
Yes,
call back.
that shouldn't
and-
happen.
Okay.
So we'll take care of
And
that.
then, do we know how many open routes right now? Are there any, or do we have?
Right now, they're filled, but we do not have any guaranteed subs built up yet. We have 3 that'll be going through the certification class on the 26th, but we still need to keep up with that hiring process as people
Just to keep
go
those,
out.
sure.
Just to define guaranteed subs, it's kind of like a permanent sub for a building. They show up every day and drive any open route, so there are people who consistently show up on a daily basis.
Okay.
They're not just casual that come on
Get called.
specific days, yeah.
Okay.
So they show up 2 hours in the morning and 2 in the afternoon.
Okay. And then the misprint of the bus passes, is that something that was just a one-time thing this year? Or, I know in the past we've had that. Does it seem like it's a higher volume this year? Or what?
Well, this year, unfortunately, they allowed the TransFinder, our vendor, to do the import. But that's not going to happen next year, so we'll control the import, which will allow us to clean up our database before anything goes out. We'll also be able to control some of the information we received from other schools. It came in very late, so that complicated things as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. All right, passes 5-0. Amy?
So good evening. First, I'd like to ask the board to dispense with reading of and approve the July 29th meeting minutes. We also have our financial report for the month of July. Our all funds balance is $110.9 million. Our general fund unreserved balance is $31.9 million. Our revenues fiscal year to date for the month of July is $27 million, or 24% of our estimated revenue for the year. And this is because we've received our tax advances on the second half of property taxes. And our expenditures for the month of July are $7.6 million, or about 7% for the year, and 1 month is about 8% for the year. So we're right on target for our expenditures. Our weighted average return on investments is 4.41%, and our bills for the month of July were our routine monthly bills, as well as we had some legal services. We did have our employment negotiations and things that happened during the summer. We have our student and staff software as we're gearing up for the fiscal year. We had our annual Kid Whisperer conference where we were able to provide that for other districts to come and provide us revenue. Severance payments, student screenings, we had some summer permanent improvement projects such as all our gym floors were repaired, Colerain High School flagpole project, the transportation sewer project, Colerain Middle School had some repairs to the building, as well as we had a parking lot pole replacement at Colerain High School between the Career Center and some auxiliary and grant fund payments. And finally, we have then and now certificate over $3,000. We did have one special education invoice for $6,600 for some year-end nursing services that occurred. So with that, I ask the board to approve the fiscal consent items as listed.
So moved. Second?
Okay, any questions or discussion? Okay, passes 5-0. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. And next, I do have a request to ask the board to join the voucher joinder resolution. In the past 2 years, the board has approved to join the voucher lawsuit for the school districts in the state of Ohio. The lawsuit does start November the 11th or 4th, sorry. The 4th, November 4th. And so we do have to pass this resolution to join the lawsuit, and this resolution would keep us throughout the duration of however long the lawsuit takes. So with that, I ask the board to approve joining the voucher lawsuit as listed.
Need a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on that?
Nicole, the voucher thing's a very, I've been bringing up numbers about how big it's gotten. At the same time, competition is a good thing. I don't think we're at the tipping point yet. Maybe someday we will, where it will really damage public education. But as we've come to learn, at least in my opinion, money is not the answer for success in schools. If it were, Cleveland would have the best test scores because they spend the most money, not the worst. We're way below the state average here at Northwest. So I don't think we're at the tipping point. So at this point, I think the voucher program, the intent is good. Let's give it more time to see how it plays out. And that's my opinion.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I think the voucher program has definitely veered from what its original intention was. But when I look through that document, they make some allegations in there without, and I don't know any facts to back up those allegations. One that they make is that, most of the private schools are parochial schools, and that they're having the expansion of these private schools, and they're using Ed Choice money to add new campuses, to do new building structures. I'm not aware of any private or parochial schools in the Northwest Local School District that are building new buildings. I mean, I can tell you, I go by St. James and St. Ives all the time, and I don't see any new buildings there. So I don't know how that applies across the state, but I think in our district, that's not a proper statement. The other thing that came up is they say in there, people are taking this money that they previously afforded to pay their private school education. But what I don't think some people realize is that private doesn't equal rich. There are people who sacrifice money, vacations, all kinds of things to send their kids to private school. I know that. I'm a product of private school. My parents had 9 kids that they had to send through school. They paid for kindergarten, or for 2nd grade through 8th grade. Once we hit high school, the boys had to go to LaSalle, the girls had to go to Macaulay, and we all had to pay our own education. So we sacrificed too, and I worked 2 part-time jobs, so private doesn't equal rich. The other thing is, the economy's been awful these past 3-4 years, and I didn't see anywhere in there that they looked into anybody's bank account to see that these were people who were just greedy and taking money that they didn't need. You know, maybe the economy has affected these people, that they would have to uproot their child and send them to a different school because their financial situation has changed. And I will say a lot of the parishes and high schools that are parochial related do have scholarship funds that they allow parishioners and members of the schools to donate to, but that may not cover everybody. The other thing I thought of also was, they also said that private schools discriminate and segregate. I can tell you very much, in my experience as a student at private school, and my daughter's experience at private school, that there was I did not ever see any discrimination against the LGBTQ community. I can tell you that there were teachers at my daughter's private high school that fall into that category. I can tell you there are students and friends of hers that fall into that category. So I think that's, again, a broad statement made without fact. I can also say that at my daughter's grade school, St. Ignatius, and at her high school, St. Ursula, there were interventional specialists. There were kids that are on the spectrum. There were kids with ADHD, sensory issues, mental health problems, and they tried to take care of those things. They have a very great program at St. Ursula for ADHD and spectrum children. St. Ives has a lot of interventional specialists. Obviously not the same as what's here in the district, and not the same number of students with those problems as in the district. But again, I think that's a widespread allegation made without any fact given. They also had said that private schools all have smaller class sizes, they have newer facilities, and they have a plethora of extracurricular activities. I can also say that I have not seen that in the experience. St. Ives has softball, baseball, basketball, volleyball, soccer. They never had a theater program until my daughter was in 7th grade. They didn't have one before that. Every activity that they have, you pay a fee for. It's not given to you. It's not part of your tuition fee. It's an extra fee. The other thing they said is that private schools practice corporal punishment. And I can say that I have never seen corporal punishment during my time there or my daughter's time there. And I can certainly tell you I had 2 brothers that would have been prime candidates for corporal punishment, and it never happened to them. And I can also tell you it's never happened during my daughter's school years in a private school. So those are things that take me back and bother me about this whole lawsuit. I do agree in some degree that the voucher system has totally veered off course, but I don't like these allegations that they make and that they don't support with facts.
Thank you. Passes 3-2.
We have 2 other items for personnel. The first one is to approve Mr. Heather as a volunteer athletic event worker at Corrigan High School. So the superintendent recommends the board approve the personnel item as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Passes 4-0.
And the next item is a similar HR item. This one is to approve Mr. Gilbert as a volunteer athletic event worker at Corning High School. The superintendent recommends that the board approve the item as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Is this 4-0?
Right, just to kind of go through a couple of things at the beginning of the year, just reminding people of the phase-in days. I know, Ms. Slatter, you went over that with the slide. I think that was very clear, so thank you for reminding our families of the phase-in days. Today, we also had our Colerain Township first responders. They were at most of our buildings welcoming our students. They'll be there again tomorrow, welcoming them. It was a great way for them to get high fives, get fist bumps, get compliments, and get some really encouragement on the way in on their first day. It was an amazing experience. There are some great pictures that are being pushed out of that. It was great to have that partnership and to have them supporting our kids at all times, and so we really appreciate their partnership. We also had a lot of work that went on over the summer that led to a successful opening, so I want to thank our custodians, our maintenance crews, our office personnel, our administrators. There was a lot of work behind the scenes that happened in June and July and even the first part of August to make sure that everything was here, ready, and organized so that we could have a smooth start. Our staff came back last week. There was a lot of excitement and enthusiasm around kicking off a good, strong year, and I think we're already seeing the benefits of that pay off with the way today started, so I'm excited for that. Do want to remind our families that if you are a returning family to Northwest, we do need you to go in and update your information. So under the enrollment tab of our website, there's a place where you can, as a returning family, go in and update all your contact information. That is how we communicate and stay up to speed with where you are, where you're living, what your contact information is. So we really need families to do that. Currently, we only have 30% of our families who have done that, so we really need the rest of our families to get in there and update that information, because that's how we know we have the most accurate information to contact you if there is a reason. The other thing is that even though our elementaries and middle schools are part of the community eligibility program, that means that all of our students in those buildings are getting a free breakfast and free lunch. We still do need our families to go in and fill out the financial assistant forms and check the box that allows that information to be shared. That's what helps qualify for other benefits like fee waivers, and without that information, although they are receiving the benefits of the free breakfast and free lunch, those other benefits aren't applicable. So we want to make sure our families understand the importance of filling out and reading through all those forms. And lastly, attendance is so important. There's a real focus this year on making sure that our families and our students understand that being at school is extremely important, and the attendance of our students matters. We need them there. Our teachers can't teach kids who aren't there, and just a few days of absences add up, and those can be detrimental to a student's academic growth, to their ability to achieve their goals. And so we really need to make sure that attendance is a priority, and our families are working with our schools to make sure that students are there as often as possible. Of course, if a student is really sick, we need them to stay home, but we need them back as soon as possible, because that in-person instruction from our teachers is what really makes a difference, and we need all of our staff to be able to wrap around the kids and be there as often as possible. So you'll see a lot of communication coming from buildings, ensuring that people understand that attendance is important, and as families, if students do start to miss school, they should expect some outreach from our schools to make sure that they know we miss them, and that we want to make sure that if there are barriers, we can help get them there, because attendance is so important. Thank you.
Couple of questions. I've seen a spike in families leaving this year more than ever before. What analysis have we done on that? And do we do exit interviews or reach out to those families? And what are you doing to try and stop that?
Yeah, so we do monitor our enrollment. Last year, our enrollment was pretty stable. This year, we're still finalizing our enrollment. There's still a lot of families. There's a wait list to get an appointment and enrollment to get in. So once we get through the enrollment season and we analyze where we landed, then yes, we do look at who's leaving, why they're leaving. We have done exit surveys with families in the past. We've done some randomization of information from families, and we've called them just to get some different information from specific groups that have left. So we continue to do that on an annual basis, but right now we don't have final numbers, but we will continue to monitor that.
Okay, yeah, once we have that, I'd like to see it, especially at the elementary and middle school level, what those numbers are, because this year I've seen just a tremendous spike in those, just from social media and people that I know that have chosen to
Didn't your
leave.
report with the Ed Choice Voucher Program, I thought there was a statement in there that said enrollment was pretty much stable over the last 3 years and 3.2% decline, which is expected by birth rate in that in the community.
Our enrollment last year was very stable. We did see about a 3% decrease, but we expected that with our enrollment trends that we monitor over time. This year's numbers aren't in yet, so I'm not going to comment on exactly where we landed, but we do monitor that on an annual basis.
So my question isn't around enrollment so much, it's around why are these people leaving and what can we do to stop it? It's not, I mean, yes, new people are gonna come in, but I think we need to look at why are these families leaving and try to understand that, just as you would a staff member that leaves. So, yeah, so if we can get some information on that. And then, the elementary and middle school coring, I just want to say they both look really good, and thank you for pushing that along and having that ready. Coring High School, the concession project, I know that sewer project sat for weeks without being touched, and then all of a sudden they were working 24 hours over the weekend. Why the rush and why the wait to the very last second?
Yeah, so most of that revolved around permitting by Metropolitan Sewer District, and all that's also tied to the waterworks. So at some point, they were allowed to go so far, but they couldn't get the final tap permit
Okay.
there at the end, so that's why it sat for a couple weeks.
Okay, and then is the water back on? I don't know.
Yes,
if it's- so
yes,
they're
the water
done
was
and
turned back
that's-
on today. The sewer line was completed, they backfilled and
Great.
finished the asphalt.
Okay, thank you. And then just another thought for next year for our elementary open houses. It would be nice if we could have a bus at each of the elementary open houses. We talked about that a little bit, but, and then also.
I think the middle schools too, because bus safety at
Yes,
the middle school is
through the
important
middle
too.
school, Yeah, yeah.
You'd have a bus driver there with a bus?
Yeah, and just have people there to answer questions, let the kids see it, maybe talk to the parents about bus safety and the importance of a parent being at the stop for younger kids and that. And then also, a lot of the parochial schools, elementary and high schools do open houses in the fall. And so I was wondering if that's something we could consider doing this year as well.
Yeah, we've talked with the high schools about doing some recruiting and some open houses and some different promotions that kind of mirror a private school cycle so that we can continue to kind of update and promote and capture some of the people that might be considering options.
So is that something we can look forward to this year then, hopefully?
Yeah, so there's been conversations, there's nothing in definitive yet, but yes, there are conversations that have started. So I would hope to see something this year.
Okay. And even at the elementary level, when you look, people are always looking at the kindergarten level too. Is that something that we could consider?
Yeah, because we've also talked about making sure that we can celebrate the people who are choosing us with some welcome signs that, you know, a new cardinal lives here.
Yeah, we
or
do that.
So different things like that, that would be consistent across all of our schools so that we can not only recruit people, but kind of reward people and retain people that are choosing us.
Yeah, but I'm saying, can we have an open house where those parents that are looking can come and tour the facility and talk to the staff and
Yeah.
walk around and see?
Yeah, and right now we have families who will reach out and schedule.
Sure.
But yes, we can do some more promotional things that are more organized.
Okay.
But right now we do it based on kind of people who call and schedule. And we have kids who come in and shadow at the high school all the time.
Right, right. Thank you. And then just wanted to thank Lindsay. I had asked about a couple of missing pieces on the app, and I saw that Progress Book and Day Schools are both back, so thank you. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, so for this one, we need to appoint delegates for the annual business meeting, so that would be at the OSBA Annual Conference in Columbus in November. So this would be the board nominating and appoint a delegate and then an alternate.
I can't commit because I'm having knee surgery at the end of October.
I'll do it again if no one else wants to do it, unless somebody else is interested.
Anyone else? Going once?
All right.
Is there anyone who would be the alternate in case something happens in the
I'll
cold?
do it if I'm able to walk around and go up to.
I'll push you into the meeting if I have to.
I work on Tuesday, so I can't do it.
What's that, what are those dates?
November
November
11th or
11th.
something.
I don't know.
We'll see.
All right, so
I'll do it.
Nicole will be the delegate and Jim will be the alternate.
Yes. All right. So we just need a motion and a second for that.
So moved,
Second.
Boy, that was fast.
before you change your mind.
Yeah. Passes 5-0. All right, Chris, any board member comments?
I just wanted to thank the team for the really good presentation tonight and the efforts going into the Yonder pouches. Cincinnati Public's doing it. It's not an isolated thing here. It's going to be a good thing. Everything I've read, that it does improve engagement or reduces cell phone usage by 90%. Still going to be cheaters out there, guys who bring in 2 phones.
Don't say that out loud.
And there's like tax cheats, there's no way you can stop it. There's gonna be 10% that figure out a way. But anyway, thank you very much, you guys, for what you did tonight and all your efforts.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you for the presentation. And I just wanted to remind every Thursday from 6 to 10, the Community Partners for Education, we're having our annual Strickers Grove get together for everybody in the district. Middle school and high schoolers are invited also. But it's $5 a kid, $20 maximum for a whole family, so. I didn't know, like last year, we had a couple of families, there was 18 or 19 people, so, we don't check to see if it's, so, they get in for $20 for families, but, then we have $1 hot dogs, and then the other food you have to pay for that Strickers Grove has, so, but that's Thursday night from 6 to 10.
All right, Nancy?
Yeah, I just say I'm very excited for the new school year, and my hope and prayers for the district are that we have a year of phenomenal growth. I think last year we took a beating in the media, both social media and in the news media, where they highlighted our failures. And I hope that we put everybody on notice that that's not what we're celebrating this year. We're celebrating our successes, and that we are changing the narrative. And I think we're here to highlight our successes for our students' sake. They deserve that. And I think we also need to realize that success doesn't mean perfection. It means improvement and growth. So if we have a student who increases their math average from 68 to 72, that's a success. And if we have a football team that executes a new play perfectly but loses the game, that's still a success. And if we have students that decrease their absences, maybe not to 0, but decrease them, that is still a success. And I really believe that positivity breeds positivity and brings good results, and negativity breeds negativity and yields poor results. So we can't let our image be shaped by the negative. We need to live in the present, learn from our past, and prepare for our future. And we won't sweep our shortcomings under the rug, but we need to work tirelessly together to find solutions. And we need to work as a team to accomplish that task. And we can disagree without inciting a civil war or a Cold War. We are all here for the same purpose, the education of our students to prepare them for the next stage of life, and nothing supersedes that purpose. So I hope that we can all be supportive of each other. That includes the students, the staff, the teachers, the administrators, and the Board of Education. I say when this unity happens, the district's light will surely shine bright. I say united, we are an unstoppable powerhouse. So I hope we have a great year this year.
Mark?
Just want to thank the staff for getting ready, Aaron, you guys for your presentation. And I'll just be praying for our students and our community and our educators.
Yes, just what everyone else said, remind everybody about Thursday night. Thank the first responders for being there today and tomorrow to welcome our students. Praying that everyone has a safe and successful school year. I'm glad to hear that you both had a good day and hope tomorrow's the same. And then just remind everyone to follow the school pages, the PTA pages, join the PTAs. They do so much for our students, the boosters at both high schools too, just to get involved and find a place where you can give back, because there's just so many opportunities to be there and meet the staff and see what your kids are doing every day. So, and that is all. Thank you. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Yep, 5-0. Thank you.